On a Tuesday, in Montgomery, Alabama, on September 5, 1939, Claudette Austin was born. But early in life, after her father abandoned his family, her mother, Mary Jane Gadsden, found herself unable to support Claudette and her younger sister Delphine. They were both taken in by their great-aunt and uncle, Mary Ann and Q.P. Colvin. The sisters considered the two as their parents and took their name Colvin as their own. When Claudette was 8 years old, the family moved to King Hill, a poor black neighborhood in Montgomery. She started attending Booker T. Washington High School in 1952. While in high school, she had dreamt of becoming the President of the United States, was politically active, and a member of the NAACP Youth Council, during which time she formed a close relationship with Rosa Parks, who she looked upon as her mentor. In order to attend classes, she had to rely on the city buses to get to and from school. In Montgomery, the majority of the riders were African American, but the seating on the buses were segregated. African American were expected to sit in a restricted section towards the rear. When on March 2, 1955, Claudette was returning home from school and was seated in the colored section, about 2 rows from the emergency exit, aboard a Capitol Heights bus. The bus had become crowded to the point that all the white seats were full. A white woman, who had just boarded, was left standing in the front of the bus. When this happens, it was expected that if all the white seats were taken, someone from the black section was supposed to give up their seat and move to the rear. The bus driver looked up in his mirror and ordered Claudette, along with 3 other black women, to move to the rear, which they did, except for Claudette, who remained seated. Just then another black woman, Ruth Hamilton, got on the bus and sat down next to Claudette. The driver again, looking in his mirror, told the both of them to move. Some 60 years later, Claudette described why she refused to move and what followed next.
Although they say separate but equal, it was everything separate and unequal. Color signs was tacked on the door of restaurant. They was in stores. We had to go to the color section just to get an ice cream cone. March the 2nd, 1955. I was sitting near the window in the opposite aisle, so if this lady wanted to sit down, she could sit opposite me, but she wasn't going to sit opposite me. I could not get up because history had me glued to the seat. Harriet Tubman, she was my favorite because she was a brave woman. She led a lot of Africans to freedom. The squad car policeman come on the bus and asked me why I'm sitting there, and I said, it's my constitutional rights. And he said, constitutional right. One, they knocked my books out of my lap. They manhandled me off the bus. I survived. I do believe that Jesus was standing by me. Jesus had sent an angel to protect me because I was doing the right thing.
After being forcibly removed from the bus, Claudette was arrested and taken to the police station. She was charged as a juvenile, being that she was 15 years old at the time, with disturbing the peace, violation of the segregation laws, along with battering and assaulting a police officer, even though there was no assault. Several of the Montgomery civil rights leaders, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., met with the police commissioner to plead for her release. Her bail was paid by her minister, who told her she had brought the movement to Montgomery. Claudette was tried in juvenile court. She was defended by a lawyer from the Montgomery Improvement Association, Fred Gray, which was organizing and defending civil rights cases. She was found guilty of all 3 charges, but her appeal before the Montgomery Circuit Court, on May 6, 1955, resulted in the charges of disturbing the peace and violating the segregation laws to be dropped. But her conviction of assaulting a police officer was upheld. 9 months later, Rosa Parks was arrested for the same offense. Members of the civil rights movement decided that Parks would be a better test case to promote nationally, being that Claudette was unmarried and pregnant at the time of her arrest, while Parks was a working adult with a middle-class appearance. They felt she would represent the movement in a better light during the Montgomery Bus Boycott. The boycott of the bus system brought national attention, and caused a major decrease in ridership, considering that 70% of the riders were black. The black community took to walking, they organized rides, and the use of taxis, throughout the boycott as the buses ran mostly empty. Barely 2 months later, on February 1, 1956, civil rights attorney, Fred Gray, filed a case with the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Alabama against Mayor W.A. Gayle and the city of Montgomery. The 5 plaintiffs in the case included Claudette Colvin, along with Susie McDonald, Mary Louise Smith, Janetta Reese, and Aurelia S. Browder. Browder v. Gayle challenged the city's bus segregation laws, citing them to be unconstitutional under the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Janetta Reese withdrew her complaint shortly after filing. It is believed that threatening phone calls, along with pressure from a senior police officer for whom she worked, brought her to resign from the case. On June 5, the district court ruled 2-1 in favor of the plaintiffs. They ruled the bus segregation laws to be unconstitutional. Their decision stated that the enforced segregation of black and white passengers on motor buses operating in the city of Montgomery violates the Constitution and the laws of the United States. The city of Montgomery, as well as the state of Alabama, appealed the decision of the district court to the United States Supreme Court. The court agreed to hear the case, and on November 13, 1956, the court agreed with the ruling of the lower court in Browder v. Gayle and ordered the desegregation of Alabama's buses, including the city of Montgomery. In the aftermath, Claudette found it difficult to remain in Montgomery. She was branded a troublemaker by many in the community due to her participation in the federal case that overturned the city's bus segregation laws. After struggling to find work and being forced to withdraw from college, she decided to leave Montgomery in 1959, eventually moving in with family to New York City. In 1969, Claudette took a job as a nurse's aide in a nursing home in Manhattan. And after 35 years of service, she retired. Claudette would later say that not getting the recognition she felt she deserved didn't anger her. It just left her feeling disappointed. But in 2017, the city council passed a resolution naming a street after her and declaring March 2, Claudette Colvin Day. And in 2019, the city of Montgomery, near the newly unveiled statue of Rosa Parks, laid 4 markers recognizing the 4 defendants, including Claudette Colvin, in recognition of the Supreme Court decision in Browder v. Gayle. Then in 2021, Claudette appealed to the Family Court of Montgomery to have her juvenile criminal record expunged. The judge agreed and ordered her record to be expunged and destroyed, stating that Colvin's refusal had been recognized as a courageous act on her behalf and on behalf of a community of affected people.
Hello, Ms. Colvin. Judge Calvin Williams.
Whoa, wow, 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 wow.
Judge Calvin Williams.
Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. Oh my goodness.
On behalf of myself and all of the judges of Montgomery, offer my apology for an injustice that was perpetrated upon you.
Wow, this is a surprise.
Claudette continues to this day to enjoy her retirement among her children and grandchildren.
When I got back to school, they said, Claudette, you was crazy. You was crazy, girl. They could have killed you. I said, I didn't think about it. I said, I didn't think about death. I want to let the people know that I was working, trying to support my family. And I can see the fruit of my labor through my children, my 2 boys, and my grandchildren.